morning. Today is Tuesday, June 14th at 8:30 a.m. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the Physical and Finance Resources Committee. I'd like to welcome fellow commissioners, staff, any guests we have. Thank you to those at home that decide to watch this recorded. We really appreciate your interest in local government. With that, I'll open up public comment. Is there any public that would like to address the Finance and Physical Resources Committee this morning? Seeing none, I will close public comment, and that will bring me to ask for an motion to pass the consent agenda.
Motion. Support.
Moved by Commissioner Sparks, supported by Commissioner Wooden. We'll take any questions or comments on the consent agenda. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. That motion passes. Yes and no. I know. Well, I'm taking a lead from our chair. Our chair is a yes and no kind of guy, although he doesn't ask for no's, but I'm going to ask for no's. I know. I figured it'd be kind of fun. Okay. Let's just see how it goes. If we don't like it, we can go back to ayes. But we're going to try some yes and no's for this one. I said the chair is our friendly leader, and he's been doing it, so I thought I'd pick up right up on that. All right. Item number 3 from probate court. Al?
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to appropriate an additional $29,082 to the 2022 Special Project Fund budget for the Kent County Guardianship Program, with $26,342 from the Kent County Senior Millage through the Area Agency on Aging of West Michigan, and $2,740 from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Kent County agreed to operate and administer the Guardian Program under the supervision of Kent County Probate Court effective October 1, 2015. This program supplies adult guardianship services for indigent persons residing in Kent County who have no person willing or able to provide these services. The 2022 General Appropriations Act Resolution 1118-21-117 included $691,773 for the 2022 Guardianship Program budget. Funding for the program comes from the State of Michigan, Kent County Senior Millage through the AAAWM, Spectrum Health, Trinity Health St. Mary's, and the General Fund. The Kent County Senior Millage / AAAWM funding in the 2022 adopted budget was $233,060. However, the final contract is for $259,402, requiring an additional appropriation of $26,342. The difference is due to the timing of the county's budget adoption process and the senior millage allocation decisions. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services funding in the 2022 adopted budget was $65,913. However, the final contract is for $68,653, requiring an additional appropriation of $2,740. The Kent County Senior Millage, AAAWM, and MDHHS contracts are used to pay public guardians $83 per ward per month. The AAAWM contract also covers $5 per ward per month for administrative costs. The FY 2022 AAAWM contract will help cover 245 indigent wards per month, and MDHHS will help cover 68 wards per month. In 2021, the guardianship program paid guardian fees for 6,737 cases, or an average of 560 wards per month.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Bolkowski and supported by, who was the support? Commissioner Antor. We'll take questions, comments, and discussion. Commissioner Bolkowski?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would probably characterize this as kind of a cleanup motion, just it's a few dollars that extra that we had. Just wanted to note for those at home how much a few years ago this was kind of in rocky territory, and this is another example of collaboration, the support around the community to make this happen, because the program, if I recall, had serious concerns from some funding ending, and so the partners came together because this is absolutely critical. And so I could go on, but I'll just leave it at another example of good collaboration in our community.
Hey, anyone else? All All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 4 from Kent County Community Action. Al?
Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve contracts with Community Rebuilders, Inc. for the Continuum of Care COC program, accept and appropriate $1,765,765 to the 2022-23 Community Development Federal Project Fund from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development and General Fund transfer in, and to authorize the Board Chair and/or County Administrator to sign the agreements. As a part of the COC program, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, has awarded funds to Kent County for sponsor-based rental assistance, SBA, and tenant-based rental assistance, TRA, for homeless persons. The COC program is designed to link rental assistance to supportive services for hard-to-serve homeless individuals and families. Kent County Community Action recommends contracting with Community Rebuilders, Inc. to administer the supportive housing components of the COC program. This is based on the historical performance and relationship with community builders, which has a direct impact on HUD's scoring for this project. The contracts, if approved, will allocate $575,217 to Community Rebuilders, Inc. for sponsor-based rental assistance and administrative costs and KCCA administrative costs, and $9,705 for internal support, and $1,170,843 to Community Rebuilders, Inc. for tenant-based rental assistance and administrative costs and KCCA administrative costs, and $10,000 for internal support. In the previous funding year, $470,076 in SBA assisted approximately 82 people or 50 households in Kent County, and $974,568 in TBA assisted approximately 173 people or 96 households in Kent County. The period of the agreements will be from July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2023. Assistant Corporate Counsel will review and approve the agreements as to content and form.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Commissioner Sparks, supported by Commissioner Bulkowski, and we'll take questions, comments, and discussion. We will start with Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. As in, before, this is, I believe, the one instance in the year where I have to recuse myself due to a professional conflict of interest. Thank you.
Did you talk about that, Linda?
We've discussed it in years past.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Antor?
Thank you, Chair. Now, I was just wondering, is any of the money that we receive from HUD going back to HUD as a result of determination that maybe we don't have any homeless people living outside of Grand Rapids?
I have not heard that. We will look into that. I do know that we were recently at risk of losing half of 1.5 million, and we were able to shore that up. So per the actions you're taking today, we're anticipating not losing any of those funds.
I know there was some talk about they were unable to determine, they don't believe there was any homeless people living outside of Grand Rapids in Kent County, which is not accurate. And that maybe that's gonna be a different conversation for a different day.
I think so. Let us do a little research on that, because I know I've talked to Denny at MTM, and there are stats on homeless throughout Kent County, so I know that is the case. So I'm not sure, where this is coming from, but let us look into that, and
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Commissioner Bulkowski?
Yeah, I guess a general question, since this and the next 4 motions all deal with community action, did Brian Donovan start yet? Or-
Yesterday,
Yesterday?
yes.
All right. Because just with that change in leadership on that, I know we've had issues on some of these other programs we'll talk about today as well. And, I've worked with Mr. Donovan in the past in his other roles, so absolute confidence in that. But yeah, as kind of Commissioner Antor started alluding to, there's a lot of definitely a lot of moving parts. HUD sometimes can be considered a 4-letter word. And, I shouldn't say that since I'm a grantee now. But anyways, it's just, that's a really tough department because of all those extra rules. So, I mean, are we we're moving in the right direction on this administration? and
Absolutely.
getting,
I've identified 5 or 6 areas that I want Brian to dig into. Making sure we all know and providing a regular update as to the status of all of our grant funds will be key, because, you know, if you look past 10 years, or actually 5 or 6 years, there have been times when we have sent money back to grant agencies, and we want to prevent that, obviously. And then I think there's also, you know, we heard at our last, I think it was LHR, you know, our timelines are fairly long to get applications approved. Our customer service response can be improved. So we definitely have several areas that we want Brian to assess and get us going on the right path. Jenny, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to that, but we're on it, Brian's on it, and
All right, cool, thank you. And then,
And he's interim, right?
he's interim, so he works 24 hours a week, and then he'll also help us really get the ship shaped up for the new director.
Okay.
And then we'll start that process in the next month or so. Brian, we're thinking will be with us about 90 days, and by that time, we should be able to get things straightened around and also have the process culminate with a new director, so.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Bukowski.
yeah, and then I guess a question particular for this item, with a, you know, very, very significant increase in rents in the past few years, does this program keep up with that, or do people get vouchers and they can't find anywhere to use them? I mean, I've heard that on national news reports, but folks that wait literally years to get a voucher, and then they have a year to find an apartment, and then they can't find an apartment. So, I mean, do we have that experience here? I mean, or I guess for us in finance, does this float up to market rate, or do people have a voucher that's basically worthless?
I'd like to check in with community builders to see what their experience has been in the past year or two when rents, particularly the past year when the rents have been so high. I haven't heard from Vera that is happening, but I'm happy to discuss it with her and get back to the committee.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. And 1 no, and all those who would like to abstain, and 1 abstain.
6 to 1 to 1.
Right. That motion passes. That will bring us to item 5 from Kent County Community Action. Al?
Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate an additional $138,654 from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the Weatherization Assistance Program, Low-Income Heating Energy Assistance Program to the 2021-22 Kent County Community Action Fund, contingent upon execution of an amended contract, and authorize the board chair or designee to execute the amended grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the award. Kent County Community Action, KCCA, has received notification from MDHHS that an additional $138,654 in WAP LIHEAP funds are available for Kent County. These funds will be utilized for expansion efforts in preparation for the Weatherization Assistance Program - Biden Infrastructure Law. These funds will be utilized for expansion efforts such as purchase tangible equipment, increase occupancy space, and hire additional staff and contractors. Board Resolution 0909-2185 appropriated $264,345 in federal funding for the WAP LIHEAP 2021-22 program budget and $20,483 in general fund transfers in. Resolution 04-21-2258 increase the appropriation by $263,542 for a total of $548,370. The contract with MDHHS is increasing grant funding from $527,887 to $666,541, which requires an additional grant appropriation of $138,654. The total amended budget will be $687,024. Kent County Community Action has weatherized over 280 dwellings while administering the WAP LIHEAP program in Kent County and expects to complete a total of 33 units in dwellings with this funding. The grant term is October 2021 through September 30, 2022. Corporate Counsel will review and approve the amended agreement as to form.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Womack, supported by Commissioner Wooden, and we'll take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
My question is, was slightly confused by the third page of this motion where it said these dollars are kind of, or focused on increasing our capacity in anticipation for additional federal dollars, but are we using this additional dollars to help 33 more families? So it's just kind of, yeah, I'll just say
You want to
slightly
make it clearer
confused.
for us, Jenny?
Yeah, I think the way that was worded is a little bit confusing. That third bullet is really providing more of a historical data on the impact of WAP LIHEAP, and I think that 33 referred to the program overall as opposed to this particular addition that is requested today.
Okay.
But 33 units more will be completed by September 30 of 2022
Through WAP LIHEAP.
through WAP LIHEAP.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Antor.
Just a question about the actual process of winterizing, adding additional insulation, whatever it is they're doing. What science goes into that? Is it mostly just the cost basis? Are we talking, I know we talked a little bit about foam insulation being blown in. That's easier sometimes than putting in bad insulation, but it's extremely expensive, and most homes don't have foam because they can't afford it. I'm just wondering, is there a process in place that keeps this as efficient as possible? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I understand the question. The process begins with an inspection and assessment of the condition of the home, and after that, the process of ensuring that the individual is eligible for the assistance. Once that's confirmed, then a more in-depth inspection of the home happens by folks who are certified in the energy efficiency process. There's a very specific certification. So they look, even before we have a contractor on board to do any work, they look at what is cost effective, and there are requirements from the federal government to be sure that what's invested does make sense. I can't speak to the real specifics there, but we are required to look carefully at that and document it.
I know there's a certain R value required, a minimum. The other question is, how easy or difficult is it to find contractors right now? Because I can't seem to find any that are willing to do anything because they just don't have the time. So do we have people in the pipeline right now doing that work?
You're right, it is difficult. We have two very consistent, regular contractors that do this work. We are meeting regularly with other organizations involved in this type of work, including the Grand Rapids Community College, to encourage more involvement from contractors, and even talking as a group about different things we might do, like helping them pay for some of the equipment that's required to do the energy efficiency work, because it is expensive to acquire up front. So we're talking with partners in the community about that so we can continue to have contractors available as we need them.
And then one more, if you don't mind, just
Go ahead.
wondering, if we get down to where we only have a couple people consistently able to do it, then we have a question about costs. Are they, without more competition, are we bidding all that out, or we just have a shortage where we can't really bid out because there's nobody available? Is that a legitimate question?
Yeah, it is. We haven't discussed that to date, but that is a good question that I'll bring up on our next call.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Commissioner Wooden?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Antor's final point actually brought a question of mine. If there are only a few contractors who are able to bid on this work currently, even if you're able to increase it by a small handful, if that is the smaller market, is it legally possible under this program to have some kind of predetermined pricing for the entire program and not necessarily bid on each job? So, for instance, in my past professional life, I worked on a bulk purchasing program for rooftop solar with contractors. And there was a premise of, we have X number of people who want to go. What's your price? And that was the pre-negotiated price, no matter who was the contractor and and it was for pretty much any job that they had. That might be a way of, in exchange for a larger contract, reduced prices and more competitive pricing than having each of this small cohort bid on each home together. Is that possible? Or is that being done already?
I'll have to check with the program manager and the program supervisor on whether that approach would be acceptable under the HUD regulations, but maybe that's a way we can help the situation. I can't answer the question of whether it's we're able to do that, but I'll find out. It's good.
Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Yeah, just, I guess a comment, my microphone on? There you go. This is year to year, right? I just, in the back of my mind, I don't know how long this is gonna be sustainable at this level, all this spending. And, do we have, at least in the back of our minds, that at some point in time, we're gonna have to adjust all this stuff? And I understand, and I really appreciate you going after this stuff, because I'd rather see it used here in Kent County than anywhere else. But having said that, just real cautious about all this spending. And keep in mind that I don't think this is going to be sustainable in the long term. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 6 from Kent County Community Action. Al?
Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve the Kent County Community Action Annual Operations Funding from the City of Grand Rapids and appropriate $130,850 in revenue to the 2022-23 Kent County Community Action Fund. As part of the Municipal Partnership Agreement dated October 1, 2017, Kent County Community Action will receive its annual allocation of City of Grand Rapids funds for the 37th year since 1985. The allocation of $130,000 includes funding for administrative and supportive expenses. The allocation of $850 is prior year revenue relating to supportive expenses. The agreement period is from July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2023.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Womack, supported by Commissioner Sparks. Questions, comments, and discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. Opposed, opposed, no. Any noes? No noes. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 7 from Kent County Community Action. Al?
Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to authorize an amendment to an agreement between Kent County Community Action, KCCA, and Family Promise of Grand Rapids to increase the original contracted amount from $510,000 to $910,000 for eligible Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG CV costs, to authorize the board chair or designee to approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. On October 8, 2021, KCCA entered into an agreement with Family Promise of Grand Rapids to provide temporary housing to at-risk persons utilizing service providers' existing facilities and secure the use of additional temporary non-congregate housing facilities, including but not limited to university dormitories and hotels, for at-risk persons made up of households without permanent housing. The original agreement is being amended to increase funding to Family Promise by $400,000, which will be utilized to cover eligible costs related to providing essential services related to emergency shelter. Between October 2021 and March 2022, Family Promise provided emergency temporary shelter under this agreement to 125 households or 441 individuals. Prior to signature, Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Sparks, supported by Commissioner Womack. Take questions, comments, and discussion, and we'll start with Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if we had a breakdown about how much it costs per night on average. I'm sorry if I caught you off guard, but I know in different parts of the country, programs similar to this have been doing some serious price gouging. And I'm not saying it happened here, I don't think it did, but those are really important numbers because, you know, when you got grant money floating around and stuff, sometimes people take advantage of. Would you be able to get that information?
Yeah, in the midst of the winter COVID activities, I did have that number, but I don't have it
That's
off the
fine.
top of my head now.
If
I
you
can
could
let
get
you
it
know.
for me a little bit later, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a brief question. Jenny, do you happen to know, and it's okay if you can, want to get more information. I know you're filling a void here for the moment, but I would expect that the demand and eligibility for this program might be decreasing. And I'm wondering what the timing might look like on how long this program will continue on for and that sort of thing, because I don't know, obviously, there are still people getting COVID, but this isn't necessarily, not where we were in the winter months. So I guess that's just a general question about what we might anticipate the timing might look like on how long this program will continue on for.
So these dollars are actually providing support to Family Promise for service they provided last October through March. It's additional items that are eligible for the HUD funding, and so in order to spend out the dollars that we have from HUD, we are helping them with expenses that occurred during the winter months when they were struggling quite a bit with families that needed safe housing during COVID. At this time, I think Family Promise is more back into a normal housing of families versus the COVID-related situation.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
Yes, Commissioner Antor.
Real quick follow. If we could get the information prior to our next full board meeting, that would be great.
Sure, yeah.
Breakdown. Okay, thanks.
And we'll send the questions that we get from committee to all the committee members, right, Jenny?
Correct.
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, please say no. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 8 from Kent County Community Action. Al?
Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate an additional $557,700 for a total of $788,700 from the Heart of West Michigan United Way to the Kent County Community Action budget in the 2022 Coronavirus Relief Fund to provide SARA Round 2 services to Kent County residents contingent upon execution of a contract, and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. The SARA Round 1 and 2 grant programs assist eligible rental households having trouble making timely payments of rent and utilities due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Board of Commissioners, Resolutions 325-2127, 325-2128, 422-2138, and 0127-2215 authorize the county to enter into a subaward agreement with Heart of West Michigan United Way to provide SARA Round 1 and Round 2 assistance, appropriate funding, and hire temporary staff. Resolutions 103-22-4 and 0103-22-6 extended temporary staffing and fiscal services check processing activities for SARA Round 1 from the December 31, 2021 through September 30, 2022. SARA Round 2 was extended from March 31, 2021 to September 30, 2022 by an amendment to the original contract. The State of Michigan, through the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, or MISHDA, will provide additional funding of approximately $14,345,055 of SARA Round 2 funds to the Heart of West Michigan United Way for distribution within Kent County. Upon execution of an amendment to the subcontract agreement, Kent County Community Action will partner with United Way as a subrecipient to distribute this additional funding for the Sarah 2 grant program. Kent County currently utilizes 30 temporary staff from the SARA program to assist residents to complete SARA applications, review applications and documentation to determine eligibility for assistance, communicate with applicants, landlords, and utility companies, and process payments to landlords and utilities. Since the inception of the SARA program, Kent County has distributed assistance totaling $42,788,980. Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents as to form prior to signature.
There a motion to approve?
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Wooden, support by Commissioner Womack, and we'll take questions, comments, and discussion. We'll start with Commissioner Sparks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to know how much of this money, we're going to be working with United Way, but how much of this money is going to go towards the programming and how much of it goes towards United Way? Whenever there's a CEO making six figures and it's a nonprofit, I just really have issues with that from time to time. So I'd like to know that.
Commissioner, I believe this total amount is direct rental assistance to individuals in the community. This part that comes through Kent County to KCCA, I don't believe any of that would pay for any staff at the United Way, but I will make sure.
What's that?
Is it coming from the United Way?
I know they have expenses
Right.
they have to cover, but some of it is
Okay.
just fluff. Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, with this, where to even dive in? The idea of, we have an additional 14 million, but then extended time, and again, when these dollars were expensed or people put into an eligibility pipeline and are waiting for these dollars potentially, because, we have, $14 million to spend before September 30th. So curious first, is there a one-page eligibility, or do I just go online to find that? I'm just curious of who's still eligible for this, since allegedly there's nothing but jobs out there. So there's that part of it. And then the second part is, in this entire 42, actually just shy of 43 million, that, where did the money go? In the sense that how much went into, if it's utilities, I'm assuming it's DTE, Consumers Energy, and maybe a propane company. And then, which landlords, I don't know if, again, I don't want you to write extra reports, just to, if there's things that already exist, what's the average rent assistance, per month, per person kind of thing, or per household, just to get a better sense of how well this money was spent in our community. And then, of course, to follow up with Commissioner Sparks, how much was in the admin and who got what admin? Was it United Way, was it community development, or, who's helping those dollars flow? So, I guess in essence, just looking for a really good Monday morning quarterbacking opportunity on this, so that when additional opportunities might come up, so I'm just, it's a lot of money went through, and don't want to discover a year from now, too much of it ended up in the Grand Cayman Islands or something, but.
Yeah, the United Way hired an auditing firm to work alongside all of the partners as the funds were distributed to make sure everything was done correctly. And there have been cases that appeared to be fraud. When we identified those, we passed them off to MISTA, and they investigate and follow up. And so there have been people that chose to use these funds inappropriately, and the state is on top of that. We would be happy to share a report on how the spending has been done so far, and actually we are beginning to wind down the program. The first round of funding, what they call SARA 1, that should be fully distributed by the end of July, and then through December we will have all of the SARA 2 funds fully spent out. So we are finally winding down on this program, and people still struggle a little bit with paying their rent and their utilities based on impacts from previous 2 years, but this is just about done. I also understand that MISTA is requiring that each of the recipient organizations do a housing stability services plan to make sure we're ready once these dollars are all spent to support any households that continue to have struggles, because people have perhaps become used to having this assistance, and by the end of December, they will be more on their own. And so this services plan is required, and we can keep you in the loop on that too.
Hey. Commissioner Antor?
Thank you. Just wanted to say dittos to Commissioner Bukowski and Commissioner Sparks, because these are really important questions. There's a lot more people paying attention to this stuff these days, and there has been a lot of fraud all over the place, and we all know that. So it's really good to track this and make sure, not only track it and hand it off, but then find out who the people we're handing off to are going to do their due diligence and actually adjudicate these things, because this is, lots of money going out. I don't think anybody can actually say with any certainty how this money was actually spent in a lot of cases. And it's just because it's become monopoly money, and I'm glad we seem to have, all of us here have the same concerns. Whenever Commissioner Bukowski and I are agreeing, it's kind of an interesting day, so.
Planets are aligned.
Yeah, we look for the four horsemen.
Very good.
There was a planetary alignment for those that get up early in the morning, but we digress.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sparks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hate to go over this again. I know that the individuals are being helped, and that's the ultimate goal, is for the individuals to be helped. I'm talking about the 6-7 figure salaries. Like, are these salaries increasing as we're handing off, $40 million? Those are the things that I kind of look towards. And I know that it costs money, to run a nonprofit. I understand that, the work can be tough, but is it, $1 million tough? So I just want to make sure that while we're passing off this money, that we're able to make sure that it is getting to the right place.
Commissioner, those are really good accountability questions, and we will get you answers to that. Typically, any federal or state money has very strict guidelines of what can be used for overhead, so we will confirm what that is in this case. What would happen on a board of a place like United Way and what they do with compensating their staff is something we really wouldn't know.
Yeah, I know.
And, but we would, our control or our accountability would be on that end of, are
How
they
many?
only getting the amount that the feds and state they can have for administrative overhead?
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, please say no. That motion passes. That brings us to Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner Miscellaneous this morning? All right, seeing none, our next meeting is Tuesday, July 19th at 8:30, and we are adjourned.